Okay, so welcome to all, and thank you very much for joining. Today we are gonna make our first capacity building webinar of the new cycle inside the marine litter and microplastic working group of UNEP MGCY. Together with us we have two special guests that are Marta Ottogalli and Heidi Savelli from UNEP, and they will address the global partnership for marine litter platform. But I don't want to say any more words. I will give the floor directly to Batawar Azif to introduce the session and the speakers. So the floor is yours, Batawar. Batawar, maybe we cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, great. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dear friends, on behalf of the UNEP Major Group for Children and Youth and the UNEP Marine Litter and Microplastics Working Group, I'm pleased to welcome you all to our webinar about marine litter monitoring in collaboration with global partners on marine litter. In this webinar, our distinguished speakers will talk about a data platform. Our first speaker is Heidi Savelli, who is UNEP Program Management Officer. Heidi coordinates UNEP's marine litter activities within the frameworks of Global Partnership on Marine Litter. She has worked with coastal and marine management for over 18 years, particularly related to land-based sources of pollution, wastewater management, and assessment and monitoring of marine litter and microplastics. She is an ecotoxicologist by training with an MSc in biology from Lund University in Sweden. Heidi, the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much, and many thanks for inviting us to be part of this. So we'll give a bit of an overview of some of the work that we're doing, both in terms of global level, and then we'll deep dive into the platform-related aspects. And then we're hoping to hear from you what you think is the most important with such a digital platform that we will introduce, and also what would you like to see in such a platform. So when we're looking at the issue of marine litter and plastic pollution, if we could go to the next slide, Marta. So then we have been asked by governments to establish the Global Partnership on Marine Litter. So that was launched in 2012, and it's a multi-stakeholder voluntary partnership to leverage action to try and reduce and prevent marine litter and plastic pollution. So both looking at improved design, encouraging closed loop systems, and also minimize waste generation in general. And this includes also supporting the implementation of relevant General Assembly or Environment Assembly resolutions and decisions, as well as the 2030 agenda, as well as also looking at the implementation of different types of institutional, legal, and policy frameworks and other relevant frameworks that implement international law related to the topic. And you could learn more about the partnership at that link here. Next slide, please, Marta. When we're working on, of course, one very important role that UNEP has is to provide the science behind what the problems are. So we're working with multiple partners like the International Maritime Organization on fiberglass, boats, hull scrapings, microplastics, with the Food and Agriculture Organization on abandoned, lost, discarded fishing gear, microplastics. We work with UN Habitat on waste flow analysis, hotspot municipalities contributing to the problem, and also with, for example, the Basel Convention, developing different types of knowledge products. Emerging issues is also a big part. We flag where there are areas that haven't been perhaps as prominent before, and which we feel are important to raise. And this includes now, for example, environmental justice related issues. We are looking at the issue of decent jobs going forward, and also much more work around financing. So what are the problems and where are the gaps? We have developed some knowledge products because we then, with the knowledge generated, and these are channeled out. And there's some opportunities. There's the massive open online course that some of you may have taken. That's available in 10 languages in its leadership track, and it's running now next year again. We're updating and revising it a bit. There is also training of trainers with looking at harmonizing monitoring and assessment, setting baselines, So providing the basis and evidence for action is extremely important in order to have targeted interventions. We also have, in terms of outreach and awareness, we're leading on the Clean Seas campaign, where we have more than 60 governments that have joined to turn the tide on plastic. And in relation to that, we also have something called the Tide Turners Challenge badge, working with scouts, with a lot of youth organizations that pick up or take the challenge in this type of information material and then receive a badge for it. The next slide, please. Just touching quickly on different types of global and regional actions in support of governance framework. There's, of course, the UN Environment Assembly, where we have 4 resolutions on marine litter microplastics, and where the ad hoc open-ended experts group concluded its work from last year. So going forward, we'll be supporting some events that are organized and convened by different governments. More specifically, in a few months' time, there will be a ministerial conference organized by Germany, by Ghana, Vietnam, and Ecuador that will be convening kind of follow-up discussions on some of the more technical and other type of aspects related to this. There is the Regional Seas program, where there are 18 regional seas, with 12 of them already having action plans. 4 are drafting regional action plans on marine litter, and where also the partnership supports efforts through regional nodes. And the next slide, then, with progress made at the regional level, we're also moving into supporting countries at national level to develop national action plans through national source inventories. So looking at the issues across several SDGs, 12, 11, 6, and 14, coupled with policy review to really provide, again, the evidence and the knowledge needed for targeted action. So this is a very quick overview of some of the work we're doing. In the next presentation, all of this is coming together in a way through the GPML digital platform that we're using as a way to operationalize a lot of the objectives of both the partnership itself, the Global Partnership on Marine Litter, but also various requests in UNEA resolutions related to data sharing, related to knowledge, related to connecting stakeholders, and so on. So thank you very much for your attention so far, and I'll hand over to my colleague, Marta.
Hello, welcome everyone. I'll just quickly shift to the other presentation, 1 second. Okay. Okay, so I believe everyone can now see the screen, and I'll quickly introduce you, as Heidi mentioned, to the GPML digital platform and the role it plays in supporting really the objectives of the partnership and all the work, the great work around the issues and topics that Heidi just mentioned and took you through. The rationale of the platform is really to support the integration of data and information to then allow also the stakeholders, such as yourself and many other with a wide range of stakeholders, to connect with both data and information to identify the data gaps and to prioritize action, so to coordinate those actions in a way that it can also be targeted and measured towards the environmental indicators, such as the SDGs, but not only. And quickly, the platform, as mentioned, is meant to also connect stakeholders on a regular basis. And it is a multi-stakeholder platform because it does connect a wide range of stakeholders. And what's really important, before I take you through a quick demo and show you the first phase release of the GPML digital platform, is what we are aiming to achieve with the platform is really to support the rationale I just really described, but going forward, the knowledge and the data and the stakeholders involved in supporting that should come all together in also a digital experience that can enable their actions. And to start with, what we have achieved in the first phase release, which is currently a beta version, is to bring together the resources around the topic that we have been collecting, and it's a wide range in types of resources, but also to start a first database of both individual stakeholders and entity stakeholders and events on the topics. And we are going to have a series of other releases before the final launch scheduled around 2023. And the next releases will really strengthen the matchmaking across the stakeholders, starting with some pilots, and then of course going forward enhancing those features and capabilities, and also very much focusing the phase 2 where we just entered is on the data and really bringing together the data and connecting it with the knowledge itself. We are doing a series of consultations to both with users such as yourself and also with partners to ensure that we can connect the dots and we can enable both from a knowledge standpoint, a data and a strategic, and to have the key partners and the key entities really working on such topics and bringing great work together become permanent and in the and really being able to showcase that platform, the work through the GPML digital platform. So having said this, let me quickly switch to my browser and show you the platform. So as you can see, the GPML digital platform has to start with it's an open source platform, aims to be a crowdsourced platform, and as you can see, there is in fact a option to add, meaning that all you see here in the middle of the page is the ability to access very easily and understand clearly. Yeah.
Sorry, we can still see the presentation slide.
Oh, apologies. I think it's shared.
I think if you share again the screen on the browser,
I think you got stuck. Does it work now?
Yep.
Perfect. Apologies. Thank you, Heidi, for flagging that. Okay, so sorry, I was just taking you through the platform. I was just saying that this is an open source platform, but also it needs to be crowdsourced because we do want those who are working and have resources to contribute, and of course contributions, submissions, suggestions of upload of resources will be done through forms, and that this button I'll showcase in a second will allow to then make that request to flag that these resources exist. But I think what's most relevant here that of course there will be a validation process, but also what's really relevant in the platform and user-friendly is the ability to see also volume of resources existing, and you can see the indicator gives you a sense based on the resources how much there are. Apologies, it's shifting up. How much resources there are in the several countries, and then by just tagging quickly through the different resources type, you can learn more on the volume of those, but also you can really deep dive into the resources by looking at the full list of resources and having then the option to tapping into the different resources and seeing the details of what's happening in terms of which initiatives, what do they cover, and learn more and possibly support those and join those by clicking on the links provided. And additionally, another important feature to connect the stakeholders, once you click and really access a resource, then you're able also to associate yourself with the resource, so that if you're interested in something, you can then mark it, and that's a first step towards being able to, of course, provide this as we mentioned before, this matchmaking capabilities and really how you connect with other stakeholders that you could be interested in learning from or connecting with in general. And then what's an option for, of course, to leverage these capabilities then, and to see also the other stakeholders that there are. It's an option for everyone to sign up to the GPML digital platform as an individual, but you don't have to in itself if you just want to take a look and browse around the resources, and you can do that by clicking on the join the GPML. And again, by signing in, you'll be able to access the form and submit the event, for instance, and then other resources will be populated. And with this, I've just taken you through a little overview of the different functionalities that are currently available on the platform. And as mentioned before, being this a phased approach, many more are here to come. And we look forward to engagement with you and the conversations to learn more about your thoughts and comments and questions. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Marta, for your presentation. Yes, Batawar.
Thank you so much, Heidi and Marta, for your presentation. It was a great insight. It's really encouraging to see that more than 60 governments have participated and taken initiatives for turning the tide on plastic. So now we will entertain some questions from the audience. So for the audience can either raise their hands or type the questions in the Q&A section. Currently, we have a question about an attendee, and they're saying there was quite an insightful presentation. Thank you. I'm wondering how can we promote regional convention in place as some regions only have an action plan, but not implemented yet? If Heidi or Marta.
Yes, I could try. I guess this may be related to, for example, the regional Cs, where there are some, so these are the regional Cs and action plans, just so everyone, and some regions have adopted conventions and others have action plans. So yes, this is up to each government in a way to decide also on jointly on what is developed for the region, where in some different regions there are conventions that are in force, then there are also conventions that are not in force, such as in the Northeast Pacific, for example, and in other areas are there action plans. What I've noted is that there are, of course, still collaboration between the countries, whether it's an action plan or a convention. So there are also regional secretariats in each region, and a first start would be probably to review and look at what is covered by the different governance entities. They have their conference of parties or their intergovernmental review meetings and look at the topics, but also reach out to those offices to learn more about what they are doing at the national level. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. We have another question, and one of our attendees are asking that how can we still prevent government action in releasing contaminated wastewaters from nuclear plants into the oceans? Do we have not alternatives like wastewater treatment from nuclear plants available?
I would probably not be able to answer that because it's not my specific area of expertise. I don't want to say something that's inaccurate.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. We have another question from Bilal Mustafa, and he's asking that, do we also have to work on developing innovative, sustainable solutions to combat marine litter? I believe he's asking about the GPML platform.
Yes, so there are two things. We have the GPML digital platform where we're hoping that it would be easier for different entities because there's so much interest in the topic around the world. This is excellent. What we are seeing is sometimes there is a bit of duplication here and there, and which is just unnecessary. So we're hoping that this is a way for different entities to come together and also maybe be able to target maybe their resources in going forward or merging their resources, but also create an innovative atmosphere where different groups can interact with each other, different stakeholders, and come up with kind of co-development of innovative solutions. So that's part of the upcoming phases those type of functionalities to allow for this to happen. There is a plan for the Global Partnership on Marine Litter as well to have something that we're calling action tracks that would then look at innovation as part of these different action tracks in several areas, where you have science policy as one, action plan development as one more to standards and guidelines, and the fourth one would be more related to sustainable financing, and the fifth one, access to all. So that includes environmental justice, digital transformation, transparency, and so on. So we are looking at ways of, how should I say, promote innovative thinking. And this is, of course, there are many actors that are already doing so. So it's not dependent only on UNEP in any way, but trying to encourage different actors to come together. Because sometimes, working in a silo isn't good for anyone. And I think that by providing connectivity between different entities and groups across regions and so on, it might be a way to fuel additional innovation. Thank you.
Thank you for answering, Heidi. And there's another question. And one of our attendees are asking that what can be done when the government is working in line with the project? And they're asking about what people can do when the governments are acting.
When the government is what?
When the governments are acting in line with the projects, what can the public do?
In line with the projects?
Yes, the projects that with the GPML projects, and for example, turning the tide on plastic project.
Oh, okay. Well, I think there's several different options. There is, of course, what can be done at more individual level and community level, which very often is related to outreach awareness, but also specific projects that could be developed and funding sought from various entities, not specifically UNEP, but to implement on the ground activities. Then, of course, I think the issue of advocacy is, of course, additional in terms of both encouraging additional action or promoting also that there is action taking place. So what we see sometimes when there are policy developments and for different issues, this could be bans of different sorts and so on. It's always a bit of a lag between the implementation of a policy and the uptake of the policy action on the ground. Is the question, what if the government is not working in line with the project? It seems like it is the question. Then I would probably shift the answer then, and that's then in the case of calling for action. But it's not so specific, the question, that I can be more specific in the answer.
Thank you. Thank you for the intervention and for the answer. I have actually one question, and then I saw there is also a raised hand, maybe from Moses, that posed the previous question. But my question is, I think it's a very interesting project, properly because it helps to engage in monitoring that we know that it's one of the very big problem on marine litter. Also inside our group, we discussed a lot, also in our position paper, about the necessity of marine litter monitoring. But I want to ask, there is sort of a way to allow interoperability also with other monitoring platform or data, and how is possible to join the platform also as an entity?
Sure, I'll start, and then Marta will explain more on the interoperability between different platforms. But yes, our goal is to just create a platform where it's as easy for a user as possible. So it's a seamless experience where you may have multiple entities supporting with different platform aspects, but you as a user do not have to go to 30 different websites. Rather, we try to work together with others and see how best the information and data can be integrated in ways to facilitate action. So where is the best, most time effective and cost effective way of taking action? So for the monitoring one specifically, then that we did a white paper, and we did a review of where are different data centers, data sets, and so on. And we're still trying to identify, because there are always new ones coming. And then I'll probably hand over to Marta, if you want to add, Marta, on
yeah,
the
definitely
things.
And I also want to take the opportunity to respond to a question from Bilal Mustafa on the work on developing innovative solutions, sustainable solutions to combat marine litter. So I'll answer both at once, and maybe I'll share my screen to also showcase that in the platform itself. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So I think what's important is maybe going through the resources and connecting the dots a bit on how we're attempting to create that interoperability, starting with, as Heidi mentioned, showcasing through a user experience that is consolidated, but also seamless. As much as we are in this phase one now, it won't be the final work, but we are starting, as Heidi mentioned, working together with the partners to help then the users of the platform, the stakeholders that want to leverage the resources, adopt it, to make their lives easier, right? And instead to work together with those who are producing and working on this type of action to bring together existing resources, but also to consolidate and integrate as much as possible the experience itself, right? Versus replacing. I mean, their platform will still exist, so you'll be able to see the website, but reference here will be provided for you to find it. So a good example to answer the questions on the innovative solution is that we have a database of technology, which is currently at early stage in the sense that it's just a collection of resources and future phases of the platform. And I'll show you quickly, you'll be able to see a bunch of technologies and understand also based on the technology detail, the type of aim and the type of sort of target of that technology, understanding of where that was created, what's the stage, also contact email or to connect with the stakeholders. And again, that concept of bringing back resources to link both with data and stakeholders is key to understand the whole aim of the platform. Yeah, going back to the main resource page, and this is just an example for the technology, and those who ask the question, you can take the time to go through the existing resources and really see what's currently here, but then also be aware that the whole point here is to connect the resources with other type of resources as well as data. An example would be the available financing resources, right? So currently there is, as part of the database, a list of available financing that's provided that can be accessed to build on these topics, right? And then again, great would be the linkage between the technology resources and the financing resources and the action plan mentioned by Heidi that are supporting then the actions from the government. So I think what's important to understand for someone who wants to be more knowledgeable on the actions and how those can be enabled is how can we tap into the existing initiatives and the existing actual actions from governments as well as other stakeholders to plans, policy, and other type of resources built by the experts to make sure that everyone is seeing the bigger picture and make sure everyone can easily access what he needs to take the decision or her to take the decision they need to in order to address the issue at end. So I think, yeah, as you can see, then you'll be able to navigate and I think I'll share the link also in the chat for everyone to take a look. But yeah, I'll stop here.
Maybe let's take the sorry. So let's take the chance eventually to have the last round of question for the speakers.
And then we have some questions for you.
Yeah.
Yes, surely.
We have an attendee, Moses. He wanted to ask a question. So Moses, I'll unmute you now. Moses, you can ask your question.
If you want, Moses, you can open the microphone and speak out.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. I mean, it's in a country like I'll try to ask the question first. What can I do if I like want to engage in the GPML? I want to engage in it, but the government is not working in line with such thing. What do you think I should do in terms of financing the projects and all? That's what I try to ask at first. But the first question was answered. The second one is, what can I do if the government is not working in line with what I want to do? Like I want to like full-timely engage in the GPML, but they are not working in line with the government. What can I say? The direction in which the government is moving is not what I'm trying to do. What can I do towards that?
Well, I think there are a few different things. One, I'm not sure which specifically kind of area it is, but in generally, one is to kind of look at what opportunities there are. So the digital platform kind of provides a range of information at the moment on what's happening where. So looking at what's happening in this specific country, what are issues around or information on the specific topic you're thinking about, and then also kind of take the opportunity of maybe taking also some of the other things we're offering, like the massive open online course, in general, kind of like to strengthen knowledge on the topic so that it's easier also to be very critical when evaluating what is being done or not done. So that the second thing would be to look at perhaps engaging in citizen science initiatives to collect the evidence or get a group of entities or people together to start kind of collecting input to make the case for why action needs to be taken. And this might not be only monitoring, there could be many other areas depending on what you're thinking around. I would say then the third thing is looking at different types of campaigns or engaging in existing ones. And that's where, again, the platform could help by looking at what's happening where. We will, of course, strengthen it so that there will be more activities, but are there others that are other existing campaigns in your area that kind of would be good to join and support and try and promote action? So I would say in summary, kind of it's knowledge, it's capacity building, it's kind of being sure that strengthening the evidence for why action is needed. And then also working together to leverage kind of and have a stronger voice to move towards what you would like to happen, to see happening. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
And for the digital platform itself, it's possible to just sign up on the platform, as Marta mentioned or showed you.
Okay.
To access further, and that will be so. As the next functionality will be much more about the connectivity aspect between different stakeholders, because it could also be learning from what others have done in similar situations around the world.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Heidi, for answering the question. We'll now move into the intervention, where an interactive interaction, where you will be asking some questions. Maybe you have a session on Mentimeter.
Yes. So maybe let me start with that. I'll share my screen. I'll share the link in the chat, but I think there's also the code at the top. So let me first share that and then I'll share my screen. Chat. Okay. So I'm sharing that and I'm sharing my screen. Okay. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the questions have been great so far. So thank you, first of all, for taking the time to attend today and asking all those great questions. I think also we want to hear from you, and we want to collect some feedback to feedback into the work we're doing, and also to ensure that we can enable an experience that can be useful. And as Heidi mentioned, to enable this exchange of information, cross-sharing is super important. So what we would like to start with is by knowing exactly what you're most interested in about the GPML digital platform. And so we see, and this is great, that we see some questions popping up for those who've been able to access. I think the video here is covering up also the other option that you can go on www.menti.com and with the code add. So those who haven't added their keywords, please do. And this is for us as really short user consultation, where we take this feedback actually and feed it back into the product development of the actual platform, the software itself. So meaning that if we have to think and consider which features to start by developing with, your interest will definitely contribute in allowing us to prioritize. So seeing connectivity and seeing stakeholders is really important for us to know what you really want, and then again understanding what is that that you like, and how we can help create more. So for those who haven't accessed it yet, I'll give you a couple more minutes, but you can click in the chat. There is the link there, but also at the top, if you see menti.com, there's this bar that it's covering it, but there's the code as well to access it, and it's right here. So in case you cannot access the link, but you should be able to access the link.
I think this is great. And maybe meanwhile, I can comment a bit on things coming in.
Yeah, sure.
So we are definitely hoping to expand the research aspect or research section as well on the platform. So we'll be kind of looking ahead over next phase and the one after. Then that's an important aspect to kind of see how can we facilitate also exchange between scientific initiatives. How can we try and facilitate access to different types of research that's not available? And how can we make sure that there is a coordination of, okay, we know there are gaps, okay, who would do what? So not everyone does the same. On the reliability of source, absolutely. So there we are looking at a process where there's a very rigorous kind of review process for what goes up on the platform, but working in partnership with different entities, so we can be sure that the data and information that's on there is of the highest possible rigor.
This is great. Great feedback is coming in. So
yeah, it's super good. I think the
accessibility
really is really interesting, and would love to hear more about. Feel free to call. We would love to hear also.
Yeah, and who put scholarship? I mean, I'd love to hear more what is meant, and the collaboration. It's really interesting to know. Also, those more detailed answers, like if you want to add more words there, it's useful for us to see and understand better. And we do take this into account, so it's really exciting to see.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, maybe we move to the next question, and you can still write in the chat. We will also collect more there. And as we see stakeholder, you see the bigger words are the ones that are most inputted. So stakeholder seems to be quite popular. So we'll definitely follow back. You'll hear more once we do the mid releases on we're piloting first some matchmaking functionalities, technologies where you can then be suggested based on your interests, right? Which resources, which data, and which people you should connect to, and also all the aspects of the engagement, the events, the collaboration aspects also be part of the connect stakeholder component, and to enable this type of engagement and hopefully best practice exchanges and community building as well. So that's great. Let's move to the next question. And yeah, so what are the things instead that you would like to see, right? You hope to see in the GPML digital platform that you might not have seen yet? And again, you have the link, so you should be able to then see the follow-up question, your link, and add to this.
This might be a trickier one because, of course, there are a lot of functionalities. Okay.
Innovations. Wow. Okay, that's great. And just to expand on this, because this is quite popular for many. Oh, wow. Okay, great. Volunteering, youth involvement. Yes, sensitization. Wow. So questions on who put innovation, and then if you want to input, because I think you have 3 options as well, so you have more options, and you can write in the chat as well. But it'd be really interesting what type of innovation, if it's a technology, or if it's actual innovation on like, what would you like to see more in that regards? Because knowing and understanding better what type of information that would be really useful to you, then really helps us understand how to make that available and link it with the existing experience, but as well as building on the existing resources. And Heidi, maybe you're seeing a bit more answers now, so you want to comment as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, no, feel free to put in chat if you want to elaborate or take on anything that you've submitted, and then that would be super. But this is great.
Yeah, and who put hashtags? I just wanted to flag as well. So at the bottom of the GPML digital platform, as well as, so you'll see there is a footer, and the footer will take you back to the partnership, the GPML partnership itself website, which has all the background information on the actual partnership and all the key information Heidi mentioned on how all these efforts are coming together. And the platform, again, is just a tool to deliver on the objectives, right? The partnership. I think what's important there at the bottom, you also see links to social channels. So feel free to also link back to the GPML itself and follow what's being posted, because we do follow up on the events, on things we're doing, and their hashtags are also provided, for example, that you can follow and that we support being you know, when we do events or we post on specific topics. So that's also important for you to know. Okay.
Yes, I think that there are other 2 questions that arise from the floor. If you can see them in the question and answer.
You can see. Since I'm in screen mode, I can't see.
Oh, yeah, I see. Okay, I see.
Can you see, Heidi?
Country mobilizers who are responsible to introduce the people interested in marine litter eradication. Yeah, so in Kenya, we're working on, there are a few different projects, but especially developing kind of an action plan. So that would be, I would say that through the platform, as the connectivity part comes up, then that would be a way of doing that. So from probably June onwards, it would be a possibility. But if it's specifically that you would like to connect with someone who is working on the topic, depending on where you're based, because we're based in Kenya, we could probably come up with examples that you could contact immediately. So you could just contact us and let me know what your specific area of interest is. Asian Institute of Technology. Yeah, so that's perfect. So that type of information would be super good. We could put it on the GPML website, and we could also include it in the platform. We'll see where the best place is for that. But if you could change, if there is a link for this, that would be super good.
Yeah, also I wanted to highlight that we are developing the forms, and the add button, you have to sign up to submit or request to add any of the resources, but anyone will be able to submit. And then of course there will be validation based on, to establish, you know, and maintaining minimum quality, minimum quality criteria. But the forms to submit all the resources should be available around the beginning of May. Please note that you should be able to do that directly from the platform and really contribute to enrich the resources existing.
Marta, probably next question, last question, because I think we're running towards the end of the session, right? If there is one more.
Yeah, let's go.
And then Dominico, I think you had some plans as well for interactivity.
Yes.
So
there is one last question from one of our attendees. So
yeah, go ahead. And meanwhile, people can put input.
Right on the question here.
Moses, you can ask a question now.
Hey, Moses, if you want to speak up.
Yeah.
You raised your hand. I don't know if you have some other question.
Question. I'm actually trying to raise up my organization. So, but this marine litter has been the thing up my mind that I really want to fight against. And I see this the hazard it causes and all. So I'm trying to like raise up my organization to be fighting against it. But first, want to engage the youth first. So my question now is, even though it has been answered since, but I just want to like throw it again. How can I like by financially strengthening to do such? That's the problem. That's the issue now. I want to know how best can I be financed or sponsored, because just a graduate from university trying to raise up and fight against such thing around the environment, which can be a good thing. So, but my financing is a problem, and my country here, yeah, that is it.
So we tried to outline what financing opportunities there are in the finance section of the platform. And this is, of course, kind of what we did was an inventory of what funding is available in the area itself. So it's there are kind of different aspects. And we want to kind of move forward also with like adding a section on scholarships if possible in the future and various other initiatives. But that's still ongoing work. So I think it's difficult to kind of finance privately in terms of like a person, other than if there are scholarship opportunities through different organizations. So it would be looking at who is doing what in your area. So which are the organizations already perhaps working on the topic, or that could have an interest or a potential scope to work on the topic, and then start having a discussion with these. So I think you mentioned you're trying to get an organization to consider the topic. That's a great start, because then it's usually organizations can apply for funding from different entities that are listed in the, for example, in the financing section. And I think that would be the kind of the.
Yeah, and also just to add to what Heidi just mentioned in terms of where you can find info on the platform, and also going forward, under initiatives, there is a category of education. So if you search for that, then you might find initiatives that are trying to support those who are interested in developing further projects in their area. So you can do that based on location, but also based on the scope. And there will be, of course, this is being constantly populated, and there will be more to come. But also, yeah, I want to point out that you should be able to see more on the capacity building material that we are working on collating that can educate on also how and what organizations are doing, as Heidi mentioned, to link to them. So that's coming next as well.
I think we are now almost at the end of the hour, so maybe we hand back to you, Dominico. So,
yes.
Sorry if we took up a long time here.
Yes, thank you very much for your presentation, your also engagement, and very glad also to have contributed. Also consider our group as one of the stakeholders that can collaborate also to foster on the platform. Yes, we have prepared at the very end an interaction also from our working group. Now I'll share, I don't know if you know Kahoot. There is another interactive platform for make quiz and polls. And so I prepare now the Kahoot, and I also invite you all, also the speaker, to join our game. So I will share my screen, and then I will give also the instruction on how to do. And then Ibrahim, that now I'll give the floor, will help us to go into the game. So just 1 second. Okay. So now the thing you have to do now is loading. You have to go into this website, www.kahoot.it, and type this code. I will also put into the chat, and we will start playing.
Yes, I think it will be good. Hello, my name is Ibrahim Inusa, and I'm the member of working group for marine litter and microplastics, and I'm connecting from Nigeria. So me and Domenico will be running through the Kahoot, and this is just to measure some understanding of participants and people joining us to see how you know about marine litter and microplastic. Yes, and I think it will be good if we can paste the code on the chat to Domenico. Yeah, thank you. So you can just click on the link and put the code on it, and let's Kahoot it. Yeah, let's go.
Let's give some few minutes to join. So get ready to join.
Yes, I think people are joining. Yeah.
If
Okay.
the link doesn't work, Aniki, Barros, you can type your answers into the chat box as well.
And just like if you take care about the T, final T, that also is something that happened to me. It's not Kahoot, it's Kahoot with a T.
Kahoot, yeah.
Okay, just 30 seconds and then we start. So get ready to join. Eventually, okay, you can follow also the game on. Okay.
Yes.
So are you ready? Let's go.
Yeah. Start. Yeah. And to go. So our first question goes like this, and we're asking, how much do you know about the amount of money? How do you think plastic pollution account for social and economic cost benefit annually? So we have 4 options, and we have 5 seconds. So as fast as you can click, so to get the
So we are.
understanding.
Oh, you have to click on the right question by your device. In your device, there will appear like the 4 shapes
options.
that yeah. So let's
So
try.
you have to choose from the 4 options actually. And we are having 4 questions. This is the first question, and we have remaining 3. So as the question popped in, and we're having 10 seconds, I think, right, Domenico?
Yeah.
So you are to choose within this second, 10 seconds, sir. Yeah, I think we can go to the next second question. Yeah, thank you.
Let's see. Oh, Sam has responded, and yeah, there is also
Yeah,
the scoreboard.
I see BA, and yeah, thank you. And the second question is coming according to, yes, yeah, is how single-use plastic make a percent of single-use made plastic globally. So how many percent are single-use plastic in the globe totally? So we have some four options, and yes, we can see the answer.
Oh, no one responded exactly what is
Yeah.
it.
Oh, well, I think is it, are we too fast or what? I don't know.
Maybe. Let's
Yes,
try
yes.
to. Okay, let's go
Can
to
go
the
to the
next.
next question. Yeah. So this is just true or false, and youth and kids are even polluted from their womb before they come to the world. Is it true or false that plastic pollution is affecting human beings even in their wombs of their mothers? So is this true or false? Yes, we have 2 seconds and 1 second. Yeah, go. Wow, yes, this is perfect. We will get this. Yes, and let's go next. Wow,
Oh,
body
Butterwar is
question.
winning.
Yes, Vara is winning.
Let's go.
So this is the last question. The tons of plastic pollution entering our ocean each year. How many tons of plastic pollution are entering our ocean each year? So 1 million, 7.5 million, 8 million metric tons, 66 metric tons. Yes, let's see. How do you know about this? Yes. Wow.
Let's see who's gonna win.
Yes.
Congratulations to
Uh-oh.
LB.
To LB, and Butter come second, and who is the winner?
Great. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Yeah, congratulations.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
And I think with this little Kahoot game, you can be able to know the amount of how the plastic pollution is harmful and how it's affecting our environment and the seas actually. So yes, let me hand it over to Domenico. Thank you very much for giving me.
Thank you, Ibrahim, and thank you to all the speakers and participants. Yeah, I hope that you enjoyed the session. After the session, there will be also a little poll for have a feedback from your expectation and how do you feel with the webinar. I will greatly thank the speakers, Marco Togali and Heidi Savelli, and also Batawar for helping to moderate. And the webinar will be recorded, and also we will let available the recording in the group and also by email. Thank you very much to all, and have a nice day. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.